Have you ever looked into a mirror and felt like something was looking back? Not just your own reflection, but something else. Something that lives in the glass, waiting. Today, we're venturing into the shadows of the old Thornwick estate, a place where reflections don't always obey the laws of physics. In its dusty, forgotten attic stands a mirror, grand, ornate, but with a web of cracks scarring its surface. Despite the fractures, the reflection it shows is impossibly clear, almost too real. This is the story of the witch's mirror. For generations, the Thornwick estate has been a landmark of local lore, a looming silhouette against the skyline. But it's the attic that holds the deepest secrets. Children from the nearby village, drawn by tales of ghosts and hidden treasures, would dare each other to sneak onto the grounds. The brave few who made it to the attic always came back with the same unsettling story. They'd speak of the grand mirror, how the dust motes danced in the slivers of light, and how, if you stared long enough, you could see shadows move behind your own reflection. Not just tricks of the light, they insisted, but fluid, deliberate movements in a world just beyond the silvered glass. Most dismissed it as childish fantasy, the product of overactive imaginations in a creepy old house. But not everyone. One of those children was a girl named Elara. Unlike the others who ran out screaming and laughing, Elara was captivated. She wasn't scared of the shadows. She was fascinated by them. Where they saw monsters, she saw mystery. She felt a pull toward the mirror, a strange, magnetic hum that seemed to vibrate in her very bones. She returned to the attic, alone, time and time again. During one of her secret visits, as dusk painted the attic in shades of orange and deep purple, Elara felt bolder than ever. The shadows in the mirror seemed more active, swirling and coalescing just behind her own image. She reached out, her fingers trembling slightly, and pressed her palm flat against the cool, cracked surface of the glass. For a moment, nothing happened. There was just her hand, and its perfect copy, palm to palm. But then, the impossible occurred. Her reflection, the girl in the mirror, smiled. It was a slow, knowing smile that didn't touch Elara's own lips. Her heart hammered against her ribs, a frantic drumbeat in the silent attic. Instead of running, she stayed. A voice, soft as a sigh, whispered from the other side of the glass. It wasn't a sound that traveled through the air, but one that bloomed directly in her mind. It spoke of beauty, the kind that poets write about. It spoke of power, the kind that could make the world bend to her will. These were the Mirror Witches, ancient entities trapped within the silvered prison, and they saw a kindred spirit in the curious girl. They offered her everything she secretly yearned for. All she had to do was come back. And she did. Night after night, Elara would slip away to the attic, drawn by the siren call of the voices in the mirror. With each visit, the witches shared more of their arcane knowledge. They taught her small glamours, little tricks to make her hair shine brighter, her eyes sparkle with an unnatural light. People in the village started to notice. They remarked on her sudden, breathtaking beauty, her newfound confidence. Boys who once ignored her now stumbled over their words in her presence. Girls who once mocked her now watched with envy. Elara was intoxicating, and she loved it. But a price was being paid, one she was too mesmerized to see. The more power she drew from the mirror, the more independent her reflection became. At first, it was subtle, a slight delay in its movements, a blink that was out of sync. Then, her reflection would hold a stare a second too long, or its expression would be tinged with a predatory hunger that Elara herself did not feel. The girl in the mirror was becoming less of a reflection and more of a replacement. It was gaining substance, becoming more real, while Elara felt herself growing fainter, more ethereal. Her family noticed the changes, too, but they were different. They saw her growing distant, her eyes holding a vacant look even as she smiled. She spent hours locked in her room, staring at her own image in her small hand mirror, whispering to someone who wasn't there. Her laughter, once bright and genuine, now had a hollow, chilling echo. They worried she was ill, but no doctor could find anything wrong with her. She was simply fading. The final night came on a moonless eve, when the attic was plunged into an inky blackness broken only by Elara's single flickering candle. The air was thick and heavy, crackling with an energy that made the hairs on her arms stand on end. As she stood before the mirror, her reflection was perfectly still. It didn't mimic her at all. It stood there, a separate being, beautiful and terrifying in its perfection. The cracks that had marred the mirror's surface seemed to have vanished, the glass now a flawless, unbroken portal. The reflection raised a hand, not mirroring Alara's own, but beckoning. It gestured for her to come closer. The whispered promises in her mind were now a roaring chorus, offering her the ultimate power, the final step in her transformation. All she had to do was cross the threshold. All she had to do was lean in, blinded by the allure of the promises. And perhaps too weak to resist, Alara took a step forward. She leaned in, her face just inches from the glass, her breath fogging a small patch of the surface. The reflection's smile widened, its eyes glowing with a triumphant, sinister light. As she peered into those depths, the cold surface of the mirror turned fluid, shimmering like quicksilver. It rippled, and with a force that stole the breath from her lungs, it pulled her in. The glass enveloped her, cold and suffocating. Her candles snuffed out, plunging the attic into total darkness. There was no sound, no scream, just a sudden, profound silence. The next morning, sunlight streamed into the attic, illuminating a scene of eerie peace. The Thornwick children's grandmother, worried about the strange noises she'd thought she heard, creaked open the attic door. The first thing she saw was the mirror. It was magnificent. The frame was polished, the dust of ages gone. The glass itself was perfect, whole, without a single crack or imperfection. It looked brand new. Then she saw the reflection. It wasn't her own. Trapped within the pristine glass was a young girl, her face a mask of silent, unending horror. It was Alara. Her hands were pressed against the invisible barrier, her mouth opened in a scream that made no sound. She pounded and clawed at the inside of her glass prison, but the surface remained smooth and unyielding. The mirror had been restored. The witches had their price, and the new, perfect reflection was now trapped inside, a permanent resident in the witch's mirror. A silent warning to all who might be tempted by the promises whispered from the other side. The Thornwick estate stands to this day, and in its attic, the mirror waits. Some say that on the darkest nights, if you listen closely, you can still hear the faint, desperate sound of someone tapping on glass. So be careful the next time you look in a mirror. You never know who or what might be looking back, waiting for you to lean just a little too close. Thanks for watching this descent into darkness with us. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next tale from the shadows. Until next time, stay curious and be wary of your own reflection. Have you ever heard a sound so beautiful it breaks your heart? A melody that seems to pull at something deep inside you. A forgotten longing you can't quite name. In the shadow of the brooding hills that loom over Greystone Village, such a sound exists. But this isn't a song of comfort. It's a trap. They call it the witch's choir. It only sings when the world is weeping, on nights when storms rage and the sky is a canvas of angry gray and flashing light. The sound drifts down from the fog-shrouded peaks, a chorus of voices so pure, so ethereal. It feels like a glimpse of another world. The villagers bolt their doors, stuff their ears with cotton, and pray for the storm to pass. They know what the music wants. It isn't praise, it's you. The story always begins the same way. A traveler lost on the old mountain road, a young lover scorned, wandering into the hills to nurse a broken heart, a curious soul who simply can't resist the pull of the unexplainable. They hear the music first as a faint hum on the wind, a ghostly harmony woven through the drumming rain. It doesn't sound frightening. It sounds lonely. It sounds like it's singing just for them. As they draw closer, the melody intensifies, wrapping around them like a silken shroud. It's a spell woven from sound, each note a thread in a net. The listener feels an overwhelming ache, a sense of belonging they've never known. The music understands their sadness, their secret fears, their deepest desires. It promises solace. It promises to make them part of something vast and eternal. This is the moment the trap springs. The listener feels an irresistible urge to join in. They open their mouth, perhaps just to hum along, to add their own small voice to the magnificent chorus. And in that instant, their voice is no longer their own. It's stolen, pulled from their throat and absorbed into the choir. They become another instrument in the witches' endless orchestra. The witches themselves are never seen. Some say they are ancient spirits of the mountain, cloaked in storm clouds and mist. Others whisper they were once women from the village, wronged and cast out, their bitterness festering into a dark, resonant magic. They don't want fame or followers. They are collectors. They crave the unique timbre of every human voice, the sorrow, the joy. The whole pall of it becomes fuel for their song. Once your voice is taken, you are bound to the choir. You sing and you sing, the melody pouring out of you without your control. You sing of forgotten kings and sunken cities, of stars being born and mountains crumbling to dust. You sing the grief of 1,000 stolen souls. You sing until your throat is raw, until the very memory of who you were begins to fray. Witnesses, those who have heard the choir from a safe distance and lived to tell the tale, describe a chilling evolution in the music. On quiet nights, it's a soft, mournful lullaby, but as the choir grows, so does its complexity. You can hear the individual voices within the harmony if you listen closely enough. The terrified soprano of a girl who vanished last spring, the booming baritone of a merchant who lost his way decades ago. They are all there, trapped in a symphony of despair. The body of the victim doesn't last. As their voice sings on, their physical form begins to fade. They become translucent, like smoke, their edges blurring into the swirling fog. Eventually, they dissolve completely, becoming nothing more than mist and memory, their essence poured entirely into the song. By morning, when the sun breaks through the clouds and the birds begin to chirp, the hills are silent once more. There is no trace of the choir, no sign of the night's terrible harvest, only an eerie silence that feels heavier, more profound than before. But the villagers know. They can feel the absence. They mark another soul lost to the mountain's hungry music. They warn their children, never follow a pretty sound into the fog. Some songs are not meant to be heard. The most terrifying part. The song is never satisfied. It's a living entity, an auditory predator that is always hungry. With each new voice it consumes, its power grows, its range extends, its lure becomes more irresistible. On the darkest, most violent nights of the year, when the wind howls like a wolf and the rain falls in sheets, the choir is at its loudest. It's celebrating. It's welcoming new members. You can hear them, the new voices, still fighting. They cry for release. Their individual terror, a sharp, discordant note against the smooth, practiced harmony of the older souls. But the witch's song is a powerful current, and it quickly pulls them under, smoothing out their struggles, weaving their panic into the larger tapestry of sorrow. The song is endless, and it is always hungry. So, if you ever find yourself near Grace on a night when the sky is torn by lightning and thunder, and you hear a beautiful, heartbreaking melody drifting from the hills, run. Do not listen. Do not let it into your heart. Because the witch's choir is always looking for new voices to join its lament, and once you answer its call, you will sing for them forever. Thank you for watching. If you enjoy stories that explore the darker side of folklore, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Let us know in the comments if you've ever heard a local legend that still gives you chills. Stay curious and stay safe. If you've ever wandered near the edge of Bramble Hollow on a crisp autumn night, you might have seen them. Strange, glowing lanterns, bobbing gently in the marsh. They appear just after the sun bleeds out from the sky, their light soft and inviting against the deepening twilight. The children of the nearby village have stories about them. They call them will-o'-the-wisps, friendly sprites sent to guide lost travelers safely home. A comforting thought, isn't it? A tiny beacon of hope in the vast, murky darkness of the marsh. But the elders, they know better. They've lived long enough to see the seasons turn and the marsh keep its secrets. They shake their heads, their faces etched with a knowing sadness, and they'll tell you those aren't friendly lights. They are the witches' lanterns. The elders speak in hushed tones of 3 silent figures who haunt the water's edge. 3 sisters, some say, draped in cloaks the color of bog water and shadow. They never speak. They never move. They just wait. They stand as still as the ancient cypress trees, their presence a cold spot in the autumn air, and with them are the lanterns, docents of Tem, casting an eerie hypnotic glow across the fog-laden reeds. The local folk know to stay away. They bolt their doors, draw their curtains, and tell their children the stories not as fairy tales, but as warnings. Don't look at the lights. Don't listen to the marsh, and never, ever follow the glow. But travelers, oh, travelers don't know the rules of Bramble Hollow. A weary merchant late on the road, a young lover trying to find a shortcut, or a curious wanderer drawn by the mystery. They see the lice, and they see a promise. To them, the gentle swaying of the lanterns isn't ominous. It's a welcome, a sign of an inn, perhaps, or a cottage offering shelter for the night. As they draw closer, another layer of the witch's magic begins to weave its spell. A sound starts to drift across the fog, soft and melodic. It's a lullaby, a beautiful, haunting tune that seems to promise everything your heart desires. Imagine you're lost, cold, and frightened. The night is dark. The path has disappeared, and every rustle in the reeds sounds like a threat. Then you see it a warm, steady light, and you hear it a voice, sweet as honey, singing of warmth, of safety, of a soft bed and a hot meal. It sings of wishes granted, of sorrows forgotten. The song wraps around you like a warm blanket, pulling you forward, step by step. All your fear melts away, replaced by an overwhelming sense of peace and a deep, yearning desire to reach the source of that beautiful music. The rationale part of your mind might scream that it's a trick, but the song is too powerful, the promise too sweet. You just have to get a little closer. This is the witch's most cruel deception. The lullaby is an enchantment designed to lower your guard and fill you with a false sense of security. You forget the warnings. You forget the strangeness of it all. You just walk your feet, moving as if on their own, sinking softly into the damp earth. The lights get brighter, the song gets louder, and you can almost feel the warmth on your skin. You see the silent figures standing by the water, but they don't seem threatening. They seem like saviors, waiting to welcome you. You're just a few feet away now. You can see the details of the lanterns, the intricate glass, the beautiful, flickering light within. You reach out a hand, a smile on your face, ready to thank them for their kindness. And that is when the lullaby stops. Abruptly, the silence that follows is more terrifying than any scream. The warmth vanishes, replaced by a biting, supernatural cold that seeps into your bones. The inviting glow of the lanterns sharpens into a harsh, clinical light, and you finally see them for what they are. They aren't lanterns, they are jars. Glass jars, sealed tight, and the flickering light inside. It isn't a candle flame. It's a soul, a stolen human soul, trapped and terrified, thrashing silently against its glass prison, its light a desperate, fading pulse. You see dozens of them, hundreds of them, each one a silent, screaming testament to a traveler who made the same mistake you just did. In that final, horrifying moment of realization, you look up at the silent figures. The cloaks fall away, not to reveal faces, but voids, pits of darkness that drink the light and your hope. Their purpose is finally, terrifyingly clear. They aren't guiding anyone to safety. They are harvesting. When the sun rises over Bramble Hollow the next morning, the marsh is quiet once more. The fog recedes, the birds begin to sing, and the world seems normal. But a traveler is missing. Their horse is found tied to a tree, their belongings scattered on the path. The villagers will search, but they know they won't find anything. They never do. The marsh keeps what it takes, but if you look closely, down among the reeds, you might notice something new. A new light. Another jar has joined the collection, its glow bright and frantic. Another soul has become a beacon in the witch's collection. And so, the story continues. Every year, more travelers disappear. Every year, the strange lights in the marsh seem to multiply. The collection grows, and the marsh of Bramble Hollow grows brighter and brighter, lit via an ever-expanding graveyard of stolen souls. A silent, beautiful, an utterly terrifying trap waiting for the next person to lose their way. So if you ever find yourself near that cursed place on an autumn night, remember the elders' words. Turn your back on the lights, cover your ears to the song, and run. Because some lights aren't meant to guide you home. They're meant to make sure you never leave. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell for more tales from the shadows. Every year, as autumn paints the world in gold and amber, the apple trees outside Black Ridge Village turn a shade of red that's just wrong. It's not the cheerful, crisp red of a healthy harvest. It's a deep, unsettling crimson, like the color of a fresh wound. The old folks in the village, they whisper stories about it. They say the apples are filled not with juice, but with blood. Naturally, no sane adult would dare touch them. But children are different. They see the unnatural gleam of the fruit not as a warning, but as a promise of unparalleled sweetness. They're drawn to the orchard, a place where the air hangs heavy and still, thick with the scent of overripe fruit and damp earth. They can't resist the temptation. This is the work of the orchard witches. They aren't the cackling, green-skinned figures from fairy tales. No, they are something far older, something tied to the very soil of that cursed place. They dwell within the gnarled roots that grip the earth like skeletal fingers, and they hide among the twisted branches that claw at the sky. They are the orchard, and the orchard is them. The story always begins the same way. A child, maybe chasing a stray ball or daring a friend, wanders to the edge of the grove. The air grows quiet, the sounds of the village fading away until all that is left is the rustle of blood-red leaves. The child looks up, and there it is. The perfect apple, redder, shinier, and more inviting than any other. With trembling hands, they pluck it from the branch. The skin is smooth and cool to the touch. The first bite is an explosion of flavor, a sweetness so intense it's almost dizzying. It's nothing like a normal apple. It's a revelation, but with that first bite, the trap is sprung. The magic of the witches begins to seep in, a subtle poison masked by sugar. It starts subtly. The child begins to hear things others can't, faint whispers carried on the wind, secrets spoken by the rustling leaves. They start to feel the world differently. Lying in bed at night, they can feel the slow, deep pulse of the earth beneath them, like a giant heart beating in the darkness. They feel the trees outside their window breathe, a slow, ancient respiration of wood and leaf. Their dreams change, too. They're no longer filled with childish fantasies of toys and games. Instead, every night, they dream of the orchard. They walk down endless rows of apple trees, the crimson fruit hanging like a million tiny lanterns in the twilight. The whispers from their waking hours are clearer here, promising secrets, promising power, promising a place where they will truly belong. The parents notice the change, of course. Their once boisterous child becomes quiet, distant. Their eyes hold a strange, faraway look, as if they're seeing something just beyond our world. They lose their appetite for normal food, craving only the sweet, red fruit from the forbidden grove. They spend more and more time near the orchard, staring into its shadowy depths, listening. Concern turns to fear. The parents try to keep their child away, locking doors and windows, pleading with them. But the pull is too strong. The whispers have become a siren's call, an undeniable command. The child doesn't see it as a danger. They see it as a homecoming. They believe the trees are their friends, their family. They believe the whispers are showing them the truth. And then, one day, they're gone. It's never a dramatic disappearance. There's no struggle, no sign of a break-in. One morning, their bed is empty. The window is open, letting in the cool autumn air. The village searches, of course. They comb the woods. They call the child's name until their voices are raw. They search everywhere, except the orchard. Deep down, they already know. They know there's no point. A few days later, a new sapling appears in the orchard. It sprouts from the exact spot where the child was last seen playing, a tender green shoot pushing its way through the dark soil. The villagers avert their eyes. They pretend not to see it. Pretending is how they survive. The sapling grows with an unnatural speed. Within a year, it's a young tree, and by the next harvest, it's laden with its own fruit. And these apples are even redder, even sweeter than all the others. They carry a new, unique note in their sweetness, a memory of laughter and innocence, now twisted and absorbed into the orchard's lifeblood. You see, the witches of the orchard never bothered with planting seeds. They didn't need to. Their method was far more effective, far more monstrous. They planted children. Each tree in that terrible grove is a memorial, a tombstone for a lost soul. Each apple holds a fragment of a life, a stolen essence used to perpetuate their own dark existence. Generations have passed in Blackridge. The story has become a legend, a cautionary tale told to frighten naughty children. Stay away from the orchard, parents warn, or the witches will get you. But they don't explain why. They don't speak of the red apples or the new trees. The truth is too horrible to acknowledge. It's a wound on the village's soul that never heals. But sometimes a child doesn't listen. Sometimes the allure of the forbidden is too strong, and as the sun sets, casting long, skeletal shadows across the land, you might see a small figure standing at the edge of the trees, hand outstretched, reaching for a perfect blood-red apple. The whispers are starting again. The orchard is hungry, and the harvest is about to begin. The witches are waiting to welcome another child home. Thank you for watching. If you enjoy stories that explore the darker side of folklore, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more tales from the shadows. Stay curious and stay safe.